All right, we are live. So,
Hello.
hello everyone. It's been a while that I've done one of these on my page. So, welcome. I'm going to welcome myself. I just said to Glenna, I was like, "You're the first person that's kind of like inspired me to get out of my hibernation, I'll call it. I said hole before, but that's not a very like positive way of putting it. Anyway, if you've been watching my page at all, you know that I have been recuperating and hibernating and been just, being present with all of that. And I have very much missed doing things like going to classes and being able to do body processes and body work. So I took the chance and asked Glenna if she would come to me and do a 3-day body class, which she said yes. So I'm very thrilled about this. Glenna was literally the second facilitator I ever took a class from with Access Consciousness, like 10 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long, but I think it's been close to 10 years
It's
now.
been longer. I found the pictures.
I looked for those too. So for those of you that know me but don't know Glenna, this is Dr. Glenna Rice, one of my favorite people on the planet. She is so brilliant, awareness-wise with bodies, and I have learned so much from her. My body has benefited from her awareness for us, and so I'm very excited to have her coming to me. So if you live anywhere near Spokane, Washington, she will be doing a 3-day body class here in 2 weeks. And she is also going to be doing body classes. I think you said one in London and there was
Minneapolis.
in Minneapolis,
Minnesota.
which is so cool. It's like so West Coast, East Coast, and Europe. So if you are anywhere near those places and it pops for you to choose these classes, I would so recommend it. It was life-changing for me. I had a very different relationship with my body before Access Consciousness and specifically the 3-day body class. And a lot of it had to do with you because you were one of the people that I first started to get the sense that everybody is different and you can actually be aware of what is true for your body that may not be true for any other body on the planet. Yeah. And you specifically are one of those people that like the way that you are able to be in question with your body about everything has been just a huge inspiration to me. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And also that's kind of what we wanted to talk about on this live. Even with years of experience, because one of the first things that you invited me to in the body class was being in the question with your body. Like, I had prior to Access and prior to the body class body work, first of all, I didn't consider my body had its own consciousness, like that it was actually its own conscious being. That was a huge revelation for me, just massive. And that it actually has its own points of view outside of what I think,
Yeah.
Like we talk about it as the body and the being and Access, but it's just really like how much do our heads get cluttered and with so many different ideas of like what you should do with your body, what you shouldn't do, what you should ingest, what you shouldn't ingest. Like, and it's just gotten worse. I feel like since COVID, there's just so much stuff out there. Like I sometimes joke that, if you've ever been somebody who gets stuck on a social media platform and goes down a rabbit hole that has something to do with this is what you should be or do with your body, like it can be really intense to
Pull yourself
out. Yeah. And like
not buy it.
that.
And not buy it. And there's no question in any of those rabbit holes that you're talking about. There's so many of them.
There's so many of them. And everybody there's like one of the things I find with bodies is like someone will come out with an idea and it catches like wildfire. and everybody's talking about it. And for me, like, what I didn't know about myself, but what I do know now is like I'm so acutely aware. The more people that are talking about something, the more like loud it is in my world. And I had always equated that to be it must be true.
It must be true, and it's actually not true for you. It could be true for you.
It
It could
could
be. It could be, but you got to ask, like, is that even true for me? That like when I started doing the access work, I'd been working with bodies for years as a physical therapist, and I had an awareness that bodies had their own awareness, could
Mm-hmm.
change, and that this reality's points of views, the stuff, the rabbit holes,
Yes.
didn't apply to all the bodies I was working. There was like this other way they could change without
Uh-huh.
these rules and regulations of what you should eat and not eat and exercise. And um, when I started getting the question, like, is that true? Yes or no? Yes. What's lighter? Yes or no? Just simple, like the basic fundamental access questions. If it's true for you, it makes you feel light. If it's heavy, it's a lie. Those rabbit holes are so heavy. We're calling it rabbit holes. It's just Easter. Maybe that's why.
But it does feel like you get sucked down them. And that was like the thing where it's like I really had this paradigm shift, and I still find myself get like becoming aware that just because something is really loud or intense in my world does not necessarily mean that it's the correct choice for me and my body.
Mhm.
And I think so many people fall victim. I mean, and I'm using victim specifically to those things because they don't know, they don't realize that that is actually a possibility, first of all. And they actually, how do you get out of it if you don't know that you can actually ask your body?
Yeah.
It's, hey, well, this, do you want to ingest this? I mean, that's a huge,
Yeah. Do you want to eat
or,
this? What
or
would you like to eat?
yeah, or what would you like to eat? That was a thing too, like with you, like you had such a and you do have, it's not like past
Yeah.
tense, but you have such a cool ease with, because I was so serious, and I even do this now. Like I can get so serious about my body and what I'm sensorially perceiving. And like I can get really hyper focused and paranoid and like all the things. And you had this levity with like,
Mhm.
what if it's just like, it's not a big deal? And like, what if you can choose one thing today and choose something different? Because that's the other thing that we do hear a lot with bodies is like, oh, find the thing. Like there's people that eat the same thing like
Every
for years,
day.
forever, because they have decided it's what creates whatever they
Yeah,
want
that's
to.
such a funny I mean, I get it. They get an answer. It worked once. But they
Yes,
don't get it. It didn't work because of what you ate or the exercise you did or the diet you went on or the medicine you took. That wasn't what created it working. It was your choice to
yes,
change it that showed you what would help. And then you took, the medicine and then it helped. And then you make it into an answer and you're going to have it for the rest of your life. No questions.
right.
Bodies are a system. We're talking a lot about systems and structures. There's nothing about your body that's a structure. Even the hardest parts, the bones, are called the skeletal system. Even medical science, which is full of answers, calls everything in your body a system,
System,
which means a system's always changing. So the
totally.
same food every day, the same routine every day may be fun for you. It may be true. It may contribute to your life, but it's not a question if you've made it into something you have to do every day.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I have been really, because I tend to be like, I will get into a habitual thing. And then I like have this weird voice in my head that's like, no, you have to do this. You have to. And then I'm always like, okay, wait a second. I'm so grateful to be able to like be aware of myself when I start to do that and then go, okay, because there's a point where you can tell your body is no longer desiring that thing. Like we
Mm.
just override it. Like I had like, overriding your body is
That is so normal here, though. It's so normal.
it's not here. Like that's like what you learn to do.
We are so well trained at overriding our body, and our
Yeah.
body's so good at just letting us and giving us little hints, like you feel a little nauseous because you ate something, doesn't want to eat anymore, and you're like, oh, it must be something I ate yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll talk ourselves out, we'll avoid it, we'll defend it. Um, but it's easy. It's
Yeah.
ease. There's so much ease in being able to just ask. If it's just a choice, like, okay, is this true? Does my body desire that? Does it want to do that?
Yeah.
What's it going to create if I stop? What's it going to create if I continue? Which creates a greater future for me with my body.
All of those questions, like when on my first 3-day body class, I was like, this is not this.
I remember you in that class.
Possible.
You were wonderful, though. You were full of questions. I mean, you say you got your habitual and other stuff, but truly, Cara, I've known you for years and years and years, and you are willing to be a question with your body and change it. And it's phenomenal what I've seen you change.
I
Totally
mean,
phenomenal. You've
I
embraced
appreciate
questions.
that. And I just know that it's, when I came to your class, like I would say I was in full on war with my body. Like I was so, and more like from this space that I know it's going to get me at some point. Which is such a, we're not going to go into my personal experiences of where that whole point of view came from, but I really truly had this like idea that my body was like my worst enemy, that it was out to get me, that no matter what I did, it was just going to do something that, it was going to kill me. Like really, if you boiled it all down to the thing, and it's like, the 3-day body class was the first thing that started to change that for me, not just because of like what you presented to me, like cognitively in those classes, like the different tools we could start to use, the different perspectives we could have with our bodies, but then also the body processes, because so much of the stuff that I couldn't stop doing, and I'll say doing because I was doing things with and to my body that were not kind. Just my points of view alone, the body processes actually have like the ability to start to dissipate all that stuff that's locked in your body so that you then you have the freedom to use the tools. I don't know if I may have wanted to change my point of view or how I was being with my body, but I don't know how easy it would have been for me too, if I didn't also have that,
Right.
we call them 3-day body classes because you have literally 3 days of, being on a table, exchanging body processes, having conversations about bodies in a very different way. And it's such a gift. It's like, there's so much about the tools of access consciousness that
We could go on for days.
you could.
Yeah.
And the body stuff, like it has changed my life. When I came to Access, my big problem was my body. Had always been my body. Not always, but for a large period of my adult life, where I was really like stuck in it. So,
yeah, that you talked a lot about the fighting your body, and it's going to kill you. It's going to get back at you. You're fighting it all the time. So you were aware that you were functioning from that way of playing in this reality, is to fight your body. And it's like this whole idea that you could create with your body and not fight it. And what that changes for everything you do, from just being on your computer during the day and you're not fighting it, from walking down the street, from what you eat, from how you make money, everything starts to change when you create with your body, not fighting it, not being against your body. What a cool concept. And it's not a concept. It's like true. It's what is true for your body. If you're not fighting your body, you create with it. And things get greater.
Yeah. And I mean, you've been a facilitator and been working with bodies for a really, really long time. Yeah. And I have been, around this and playing with this different perspective for, like I said, 10 years. And it just does really change fundamentally how you move through the world. And it also changes, like the thing I used to do a lot too is if there was something I had decided was the right way to be or the correct way to be, and then I didn't do it, I was so freaking hard on myself.
Oh.
Deciding a rule of my body, whether it's like a food should eat, or a thing I should be doing and something I shouldn't be doing. The minute I would do that thing or not do that thing, like I was so terrible internally, mentally to myself. Like that alone, like I never realized how much how detrimental that was to me and my body, like how much that broke down my body more than anything I could have eaten or ingested or
Yeah.
physically done. The judgment, the self like loathing.
The wrongness of you, the wrongness in all your choices with you. You're doing it wrong. You decided you were going to do this. I was going to go out and run every morning for the next 2 weeks. And I didn't do it. And I didn't do it yesterday either. And the day before, and I'm a loser. And now I'm going to, this is all these things are going to show up.
I mean, we're saying it facetiously, but I mean, like, I will admit, like, that is how I was. I even catch myself doing it now, and I have to remind myself, hang on, like, what would like my body actually like today? Like, what if every day is a fresh start?
Yeah.
And what if you do something that, maybe your body, like you said before, like sometimes your body will let you know, like you eat something that now you have indigestion or now you don't feel that great. Like, what if that's not a problem either?
Right.
Like, and that is one of the things I just, again, love so much about you specifically is that
Well,
you are this massive invitation to not making anything a problem. Like I've in the 10 years we've known each other, I have called you about stuff hysterical.
that's not a problem either. You weren't that hysterical. You just had something up. You wanted contribution and help, and I love that. That's my
Yeah.
fun. Someone asked me what's fun, and that for me is fun to like change people's points of views, how they're creating with their bodies or whatever they're doing. The freedom when you were just speaking, the freedom of being able to not see it as a problem,
Yeah.
so you can change it. Because once you define it as a problem, you got to keep contributing to that rabbit hole of the problem, and to be able to just say, okay, so do I want, like we were talking about running, like just to wake up and go, okay, well, body, what do you want to create today? Do you want to go running? And yes, light and heavy, you can get the yes and no, yes or no, which is
Yeah.
lighter, body, yes or no.
Yeah.
And then you can choose. And when I first started doing that, like I was a little crazy with my body. I knew bodies could change with physical ailments because as a physical therapist, I saw that happening all the time.
Right.
My routine of how much I should exercise a week or something like that, or how many calories I might be able to eat. I mean, all that was there. And I
Yeah.
remember waking up and going, okay, do you want to go to dance class today, body? Yes, no, yes. And it said yes. And I just traveled and I was exhausted. I'm like, no, I don't want to go to class today. I'm like, okay, truth. Yeah, you want to go. And I just got up, went to the class, got a new client there. It was like the most amazing class I'd ever been to. My body felt amazing afterwards. The whole class was delightful, smiling through the whole time. And I was like, oh, you knew. Body,
Yeah.
you knew. You're the one that takes this class. I get to experience it with you, but you're in there doing this dance class and you knew that it was going to create our future.
Yeah.
And just a couple of those in your life will start to shift this. And
That is so good.
the body classes allow you to have access, easier access or more access, or listen to the whispers of the body that becomes louder.
Yep.
And it's not linear and it's not cognitive at all. I've taught that class for 12 years. I could not explain what or how they're doing it. I just see what happens with people, the stories you tell, the stories I've told. You start
Yeah.
to access this consciousness, this awareness your body has with more ease. So if it's you're getting rid of points of views where you've avoided that awareness or you've overridden it, they're not as, you can't keep them in place as easily. And when
That's
you ask a question, it's there differently. And you start to get these awareness of the capacities your body also has. And
yep.
that's been huge for me teaching this class. Like the capacities I thought I had were nothing like what I actually have with bodies, which I love.
I do too.
I
And
love it.
it's like there's, in all the years talking, because I know a lot of people who have done these classes and I know a lot of people who facilitate these classes. And it's like there's so much that starts to show up when you're able to actually have that different experience with your body. It's just so different. And it is really hard to explain to people. So it's why it's one of the, experiential classes, like you gotta come, you gotta be like there on a table. And they're like, they're different because it's like that's out of a lot of people's comfort zones,
Yeah, it's changed since, those years of lockdown we had, which seemed like 20 years ago.
No.
Like 2 years ago, we got out of that. But that, this requires your body to be there with other bodies, which
Yeah,
is such a gift.
it
And
is.
there's still this little like, oh,
Isn't that weird? Like that was one of the things that I was so aware of with COVID was like, man, this is really truly like a war on bodies. This is a war on um what what bodies can get, like, because how bodies can be contributed to from other bodies
yeah,
being, you
yeah.
know, and that's another thing. Is like I am like I could hibernate forever. I could literally spend, oh, like it didn't
Yeah.
really bother me to be like cooped up. The idea of it was more disturbing to me than the actual of it, because I
No, I actually had a pretty nice couple of years there. My
was
business was a little slow because most of what I was creating with Access was hands-on
right,
classes. So it was a little slow, but yeah, I kind of enjoyed
I
my
kind of loved
beautiful
it.
home and
Yep. And so it's like, and I do know there's such a gift in being around other bodies, and also like not just being randomly around people, but like being in a room full of people that are choosing more with how they are
oh,
with their bodies,
the joy that happens in class. I remember one of my first classes, I think it was in Vancouver, and I came down the elevator to the floor that the class was on, and the doors opened, but you couldn't see me. The class was around the corner, and
Uh-huh.
I heard, it was like the third day, the laughter and
Oh,
giggles of the whole class, and I remember just stopping there, receiving that energy, going,
mhm.
"Oh my gosh, this is what this class is creating a joy for these bodies, these people." That it was like nothing they'd probably ever experienced or knew was available, and it created it with such, like, there was nothing I did that says, "Let's have joy now today. These are the 5 things you're gonna do today to bring joy to your life." I didn't know that I even talked much about having the joy of embodiment in that class, and it showed up. There
Yeah,
wasn't, list of things that you needed to do and put into place to have joy with your body. It was just choosing the class, being there, and being willing to have what it had available for you
yeah.
without, and
Right.
even if you did have points of views, it still works.
It does. Well, I mean, for sure it does, because I haven't liked. It's
Yeah.
not like I went into some. It's not like you go into a cave and come out, and every limited point of view you have about bodies is gone. It's like it's actually that you get to be present with everything that shows up. Like it's taken me. I have come so far with how I am with my body, and I have also like so much more I could choose. Like there's still like a lot of possibilities,
Yeah.
because it like you said, it's the body is not a static thing, and what
No.
you can be or do with your body isn't specific. And learning that basic, like that thing of being in question of like, is that relevant for us?
Yeah.
Like, would you like that body, and would you still like that body? Like just
Mhm.
that is so just
Different.
different, changing. Um, we do have one question here. Hi,
Oh,
Liddy.
yeah.
Liddy,
Hey.
she says,
Hi, Liddy.
"Can you talk about why cellulite may show up?" Which I find really funny, because it's like, and I wonder if like what we're actually talking about is more valuable, because again, that's one of those things. That's one of those things that
Well, okay, well, let's just play it like cellulite. Yeah. Like, girls have this. Girl fat. That's what I call it, girl fat. But, like what you're saying, is it truth? Is it a problem for your body? Like, let's look at that. Obviously, it's a problem for us because we see the social media pictures of.
well,
Oh,
it's a problem for the culture.
yes. Yeah.
And is it a problem for your body? And like I would say with cellulite too, it's like how many years have you spent like anticipating that it show up?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, oh
Well, it
god,
has. It does, from what I've found.
the cellulite.
I do this other body work, the energetic manual therapy, where we do hands-on working with the fascial system, and this question is a common question.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's really the solidity of your body comes from the judgments, and there's a lot of solidity in that, and how much are you judging? It doesn't show up in places we don't judge that have fat. Like, it shows up so if you're not judging the fat on your body, and girl fat tends to look like that, which
Yeah.
can be really exciting for people that like girl fat, girl bodies, like curvy bodies.
I don't
It's not necessarily even a bad.
exist,
So
Glenna.
if you
Like,
can get rid of the judgment, what could you change? But I haven't seen a lot of people that were capable of truly like eliminating that point of view that it's a bad thing and it's a problem to see
yeah.
what shows up. Um, and it's
But
not
what
just cellularly. This is with anything with your body. Just, my body's too big. My body's sick. It's not strong enough. It's not pretty enough. It's getting old. All of these things, all of our points of views contribute to what we're creating, which we talk
Yep.
about in Access so much. Your point of view creates your reality, it also creates your body. So changing your point of view. And that's where the 3-day body class can contribute so much, because those
Yeah.
points of views can't be as solid when you start to access the awareness with your body and ask those
That's
questions with your body.
and that's the thing I was saying before. Like, I would have never been able to mentally stop. There had to
Yeah.
be like more of an organic change so that things
Thank you
were
for
less
that. I
solid
love
in my world. And I could actually consider the idea, the possibility that I didn't have to have that harsh point of view
Mhm.
about my body.
You mean we become kinder to our bodies? We become kinder with our bodies. And
Totally.
if you're kinder with anybody or anything, your pets, your friends, your children, your parents, if you're kinder, what does that create? Does it create more or less? And
Yeah.
when we're creating our body with judgment and really harsh judgment, people are, like you've been describing, can be so harsh.
So
What does
harsh.
that
I know
create?
that 'cause I was so harsh. And it's like, I could not have even considered being grateful for my body prior
Mhm.
to a body.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know it was an idea.
Be grateful for it. What are you talking about? It's gonna kill me.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I didn't have that
oh, for
point of view.
sure. I mean,
No,
I can
you can.
joke about it now, but I was truly like so freaked out. And like at the time that I found Access, I also had been trying to, conceive for years and it hadn't happened. And I was so pissed off and so
Mm.
mad about that. And that's a whole other story. And I actually would love to have another live with you and talk about that because
We've
you
talked
also
about that for
changed. You
yeah,
have? Yeah.
we
I actually
we
asked you about it the first thing because I was like, when I first came to Access, I was like, that is why. Like, I was a mess. I had been trying to get pregnant. For any of you that are in that roller coaster of a ride, hamster wheel, it is just,
yeah, that was it. You let it I think everyone got that.
yeah, it is just, ugh.
And
So,
and the remarkable change that you have made with your points of views about that and where you are now, where you were there, and, like, seeing you, like, 180 flip and have your life back,
totally.
your
I,
future back, and have ease, it's yeah, I would love to interview, talk to you, have yeah,
yeah.
but we've talked about this for many years about having, like, pregnancy, childbirth, delivery podcasts, talks, Zooms, and things.
Right? I
Yeah,
know. We need to do
maybe
it.
now's the
We need to
time.
do it.
We can
Exactly.
do one up in Spokane in a couple weeks from your place.
Exactly. Okay, so we're now announcing that that's coming. So
Y
stay tuned
yeah,
because that will be the next adventure with Glenn and I, which is so
yeah.
thrilling.
If you want us to do it, like, write in the chat a bunch of times, "Do it, do it, do it," so we just, like, really get it because 'cause we're slow.
Well, and I mean, now that I've like broken my not been on social media, my face anyway, uh, basically it's been like almost a year.
Oh,
Maybe it'll be like easier to choose it. So I again thank you for coming on. And like I
absolutely.
said, if any of this like lit your body up or like at least maybe helped your body relax a little. I mean, because for me, like I didn't really care about lighting my body up. I just wanted some space and peace
Oh,
for
it's
once.
such a gift. Like, what if
And
your body is not wrong? It's never been wrong.
yeah,
And that space of relaxation with your body, that it is so yummy.
it's true.
It's better than the best drugs anyone does. It's like, I don't know, it's so yummy.
I know, and I'm so excited. I mean, I haven't been traveling really. I've for like and going to classes was always such a gift because you'd be around other people. You could do body work and like not have I'm like,
Oh, I'm so happy to be
I'm
coming.
so thrilled that you're coming up here.
I
And
love that part of the world. I used to go camping there with my family my whole life. So just to be in
it is
Eastern
very
Washington.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
for those of you that don't know where Spokane is, it's Eastern Washington. So if you're anywhere in the, vicinity,
Planet.
it's definitely exactly. I mean, and it's
There's
like
airplanes. You can
definitely
go.
worth the drive. The first time I took a class with you, I think I drove 4 hours, because you were in Seattle. So I drove 4.5 hours or whatever it was to you. And
Yeah.
I have never looked back and I've never regretted it. So whether you are close to Spokane, Minneapolis, is that where you said?
Yeah.
Minneapolis or London. I mean,
Yeah.
if you just want to travel to those places, uh,
Mm-hmm.
look up Glenna's classes. We can put it in the how to find your classes after.
Dr. Glenna Rice.
Never us are doing it while we're on here.
Yeah. It's easy to
I'm
find.
not technically inclined to do that, but anyway, thank you, Glenna, for coming on.
Thank you for chatting with me. This was delightful. I adore you. See you soon.
You guys.
Bye, everyone.